Good evening, everyone. Hello. Y'all drop some likes and some hearts and say hello and greet. Good night. I want to see who all is with us tonight. Come on in here. I can't see who is in. Let's see. Let me get situated. I hope everyone has had a wonderful week. It is fourth Friday of this month of April. This year is going by fast, you guys. Going by really fast. Let's see. Can I see if someone is on? Good evening. Come on in here. All right, there we go. Hi, Miss Casey. How are you? Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm going to wait another minute and let some people come on in. I have been in high mode today. I've been ripping and running, and we had a college tour today, you guys. Yes, I have a senior in high school, and we went to UTA and all that stuff and walked around the beautiful campus. It's very lovely, and my son Damien is excited, as he should be, and I'm happy for him. So I had a busy day doing mama stuff. I've had a great and wonderful week. I hope you all have as well. All right. Thank you, Miss Casey. Okay. Hey, Miss Linda. Thank you for tuning in. Y'all say hello and some hearts and some likes. Share with your friends and your loved ones. Invite some people to like our Facebook page and to tune in. I'm about to get started in just 1 second. As people come in, I'm going to be making sure I'm situated over here. Good night, Miss Anna. How are you doing, sister? Good to see you. Good to see you. Invite some friends, likes, and hearts. I'm going to need you guys tonight. I need your support. I need some feedback. I need the interaction. My baby sister helped me out. She brought my baby girl home. So yes, it takes a village, you guys. It really does. Hi, Miss Priscilla, Miss Linda. Thank you guys for joining us on this Friday night. I won't keep you guys long. Many people are out starting their weekends, and the weather is great, and I do understand that. Yes. Again, I want to ask you to please share this live so others can watch it later. If they're not able to tune in at this time, someone may need a positive word. Someone may need to just tune in and connect. I want to also greet our first timers on this page and tell them a little bit about our church at Pathway of Life Church. We have service every Sunday at 10 a.m. We also have Monday, Wednesday, and Friday nights Bible study right here on Facebook Live and on YouTube on our Pathway of Life page. Starts at 9 p.m. sharp Central Standard Time. And you can also catch our 10 o'clock service live also on Facebook Live. If you are an individual who just need to connect and you may find yourself going through a tough time in life, you may be lonely or dealing with loneliness, and just come out to our church. We are at 8510 Military Parkway, and we will welcome you. Come as you are. Bring your family. We have services for the entire family. We have nursery and preschool, and we also have children's church for our first through sixth graders. Our youth ministry has service on second and fourth Sundays at 9 a.m. They have breakfast and Bible. Yes, we feed the teenagers. So if you're middle school on up through high school, 12th grade, come out. Our leaders are wonderful in our youth ministry, and they would love to connect with your teens. So we have something for the whole family right here at Pathway. Hi, Sister Amarellis. Nice seeing you tonight. Thank you for tuning in and thank you for joining. Yes, I'm so glad to see you guys. Well, those who may not know me, my name is Jocelyn Charles. I've been a member at Pathway of Life Church for over 10 years. And I began to connect with people when I joined ministries. And it's like I have a second family. And I love so many people and I've built so many great, strong relationships. So again, this message, I plug that in for anyone who is looking to connect. I didn't always have it together. I don't have it together right now. But being in ministry and connecting with people helped bring me through. That was part of the relationship, helped bring me through some tough times and build family and build community. And before I knew it, I wasn't lonely anymore. It was a pretty awesome experience. And so I challenge anyone who is looking to connect to please come out to our church. If you can't make it, just continue to tune in live Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 p.m., 10 a.m. on Sundays. We're right here on Facebook and YouTube. I want to give honor to our pastors, our lead pastor, Kelly James, and our beautiful First Lady, Sister Holly James. Also to Pastor Ricardo Miller and his lovely bride, Miss Karen Miller. They are newlyweds, you guys, and they are still celebrating and enjoying all the bliss and everything that come along with that. So I want to give honor to our pastors for allowing me to be here on this platform tonight and to speak to the people and to share and trusting me in this space. Yes, I'm very grateful to be here. Hi, Sister Lucretia. It's good seeing you. Remember to share and give some hearts and invite some people to like our Facebook page, Pathway of Life Church. Okay, you guys? And so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and go in prayer really quick before I share my message tonight. Father God, I want to say thank you. I'm saying thank you for blessing me and blessing us with this platform to be able to share and receive and to connect, God. There are so many people who are cut off and feel isolated or just going through some tough times, and to be able to just click on a live stream and to connect and to get an encouraging word is a blessing. And I want to thank you for that, Lord. I pray, God, that your will be done as I share this message tonight, Lord God. Let it be your power, not my flesh, that deliver this word, Lord. I pray, Father God, that you bless the ears and the listeners, Lord, and open up their hearts so they can receive you and receive this message. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen. Hi, Sister Patricia. How are you doing? Thank you again for joining. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's good to be here on this Friday night. And I have come tonight to talk about the parable of the prodigal son. And that story is in the book of Luke, chapter 15, verses 11 through 32. And before I go into that story, I just want to talk about a little what was going on, because Jesus was telling a lot of parables during this time. This is just one of several. And I found it quite interesting how Jesus was challenging the Pharisees and the high priests and the politicians. I mean, he was giving them a tough time, because they wanted to challenge him too. So, it's almost like they was almost squaring off. Some people may not like to look at it so casually like that, but the way I read it, he was they're calling them out on their mess, basically. And the story that I found really interesting started in chapter 14 when he was invited to the Pharisees' house, this well-known Pharisees, and he was invited to dinner, and he began questioning them and asking them about breaking certain laws on the Sabbath. And he asked them a couple of questions, and they flat out ignored him. He asked, is it breaking the law to heal somebody on the Sabbath? Or would you rescue one of your livestock if they had fallen down a well just because it's the Sabbath? And challenging them on how they basically put themselves up on a pedestal. And as he was evidently he was the one trying to strike up conversation, because they weren't saying anything. They weren't saying anything to him. And I thought that was interesting. But yet he didn't back down, because he had been going through the land teaching and gathering large crowds and teaching the people, speaking against pride, and speaking on humility, and also confessing who he was and who he is through God. He called himself the Son of God, the Messiah, and he was no different than the rest of the people that he was talking to, the people who lived out in the country, the people who didn't go to church every Sunday, or the people who may have been, poor and didn't always pay their tithes, and all those things, the people that were kind of looked down on, the people who were tired of going up in the church and made to feel ashamed. They felt ashamed or just got tired of been treated like they were less than. And if you're treated like you less than long enough, you begin to believe that. And that's unfortunate, but it's true. We've all seen it. We've all been there. And so Jesus was walking around and teaching and traveling through the land, Jerusalem, and teaching the people. And he was doing this by telling different stories and scenarios, these parables. And and one thing I also found interesting is when the Pharisees, they were mingling in the back, the Pharisees and the politicians and those who enforce the laws of the lands, and they were saying he mingles with these sinners. Actually, what did they say? He said he mingles with these sinners, and they were just in the back whispering, and he welcomes the sinners and he eats with them. So I guess he thought that he was better than they thought they were better than all these people. We all seen it. We see it all. We still see that currently today. But Jesus showed the people that he was just like them. The only difference is that he was confident. He healed people. He spoke powerful words over others, and he related to himself in a powerful way when it came to his relation with God. And the people needed to see that, and he needed to mingle with them long enough so that they would understand that. And so he had to do that in a roundabout way. He had to do that by telling stories and engaging with them on that matter and giving them different scenarios so they could see that they were not less than. We come from the same God. They weren't less than Jesus. We come from the same God. We were created by the same God. That's why I like this story about the prodigal son. And before I get into the story, I'm about to read the scriptures really quickly, but I wanted to just give the definition of prodigal. I'm not going to take for granted that everybody know what that is. And what I found, there's like a negative and a positive. It's easy to focus on the negative because we related to this story. But I found that the definition of prodigal is spending money or resources freely and recklessly, wastefully, extravagant. And so that's just being excessive and self-indulgent, right? And the other definition is having or giving something on a lavish scale. So that is not necessarily a negative thing if you got it. That's a positive. You could be giving back to a religious institution. You could be giving back to a homeless shelter, a community center, things of that really blesses the community and reaches and touches the people. And don't give them scraps. You can give lavishly, give like you want to receive, right? That's the way we've been taught, and that makes sense. So that's prodigal in its that's a prodigal behavior as well. And so I just wanted to shed light that is not only a negative thing, is some positive things to it as well. And before I read this chapter, I just want to give a shout out to some more people who are tuning in. Hello, Miss Dora and Miss Marilyn. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Miss Linda, he had an aura that made him appear to be different. Yet some people didn't like him. And exactly, he seemed different because of how his confidence in his identity. He really wasn't that much different though. He looked just like them. He wasn't walking around in Prada shoes and Louis Vuitton belt, you know what I'm saying, and the finest linen. He looked like a common man, and he mingled with the common man. He didn't dwell in the places where they judged and they used sin as a power over the people to hold over their head. Because when we think about it, man uses the sin as a power to hold over people. That's what I seem to find out, that's what I seem to understand as I grow and as I spend more time developing myself with God, my identity and who I am through the spirit, and looking through a different set of lenses through my spiritual eyes, right? And I understand that that's what Jesus wanted to, that's the impression, that's what he wanted to leave with us. He wanted to save us from thinking that we were less than or being controlled by sin has no equal to the power of God. And Jesus wanted us to know that. He didn't even address that. You know what he addressed more frequently than the latter? He addressed those who ridiculed and who used sin as power over man, over those who really began to believe that they were less than. He called those individuals out. Go all through the Bible. Go out through the Bible. Well, he called that out. And that's something to pay attention to. So again, I come to read this story and go over and make relations about the parable of the prodigal son. And I'm going to read 11 through 32, chapter 15 in the book of Luke, verses 11 through 32. And I'm going to do this as quick. And yes, I have my son's children's Bible. I never threw it away. I mean, it just tells it to you straight. It's just an easy read, right? And so here we go. Jesus continued. He's telling story after story, giving example and making relation to pride and humility, and calling things out that needed to be called out. Speaking like no one has really been bold enough to speak. So in this story, he said, there was a man who had two sons. The younger son spoke to his father. He said to his father, give me my share of the family property. So the father divided the property between his two sons. Not long after that, the younger son packed up all that he had and he left for a country that was far away. There, he wasted his money on wild living. He spent everything he had. Then the whole country ran low on food, so the son didn't have what he needed. He went to work for someone who lived in that country, who sent him out to the field to feed the pigs. The son wanted to fill his stomach with the food the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. Then he began to think clearly again. He came to his senses, bless his heart. He said, how many of my father's hired servants have more than enough food? But here I am dying of hunger. I will get up and go back to my father. I will say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and I have sinned against you. I am no longer fit to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired workers. So he got up and he went to his father. While the son was still a long way off, his father saw him. He was filled with tender love for his son. He ran to him. He threw his arms around him and kissed him. The son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer fit to be called your son. But the father said to his servants, quick, bring the best robe, put it on him, put a ring on his finger, sandals on his feet, bring the fattest calf and kill it. Let's have a big dinner and celebrate. This son of mine was dead, and now he is alive again. He was lost, and now he is found. So they began to celebrate. The older son was in the field. When he came near the house, he heard music and dancing. So he called one of the servants and he asked, what is going on? Your brother has come home, the servant replied. Your father has killed the fattest calf, and he has done this because your brother is back safe and sound. The older brother became angry. He refused to go in. So his father went out and begged him. The father went to him and he begged him. But he answered his father, look, all these years I worked like a slave for you. I have always obeyed your orders. You never gave me even a young goat so I could celebrate with my friends. But this son of yours wasted your money with some of the prostitutes. Now he come home, and for him you kill the fattest calf. My son, the father says, you are always with me. Everything I have is yours, but we had to celebrate and be glad. This brother of yours was dead, and now he is alive again. He was lost, and now he is found. Okay, this story is moving. It is packed with so much, and I just want to start with I looked at this as a different levels of identity crisis. And as I got to go through this, yeah, it hit home because some things I see in me and my household and just things I've learned about myself. And let's start with the father. This father was a loving father, evidently. He handled his business. They weren't rich. There's nothing indicates that they were rich, but nothing indicates that they were poor either. I mean, they had crop, they had livestock. He had hired servants. He was able to pay people to work his land and take care of the cattle. But they weren't super rich because the sons still had to work. The sons was working. I'm sure the father was working, and they took care of their land, and they had staff to help them take care of their land, right? And but the son demands his inheritance. This son had no plan. He had limited skills, skills he had at home. And he was impatient. He was ready to be grown. Okay, we know what that's like, right? He was ready to be grown. He was immature in the ways of knowing himself. He didn't know himself. He didn't know how to be a responsible adult. He was just ready to go live his life. And the father didn't force him to stay home or didn't withhold his inheritance. Just like God doesn't force us. He don't force anything on us. He lets it be our choice. That's a loving God. That is a loving God. He doesn't force a thing on us. And this son went on his way, right? He went on his way. And we see this from generations and generations and centuries. A lot of us just fall flat on our face, and it's not because, and it has nothing to do with your title. It has nothing to do if you're a pastor's kid. It has nothing to do if you're the pastor. It has nothing to do if you're the deacon. It has nothing to do if you served the church for 20 years. It has nothing to do with that. We all mess up and make mistakes and fall flat on our face. We are all faced with temptation. Some is just done behind closed doors and it's not exposed to everybody, but we all go through the same thing. You know why? Because we're equal. We're the same. We are equal. We all come from the same God. Our Father loves us so, but yet we still all mess up. But God still loves us and he embraces us. And just like the father welcomed his son back home, God doesn't hold that over our head. You know who holds that over our head? Man. When we mess up, we want to ridicule. They did it back in those days and still do it today. You still, just like the Will Smith stuff. Oh my God, they won't let the man rest. He messed up. Yeah, he messed up big time, and he struck another man, and he's paying for it. But look how everybody jumped on that bandwagon. You see what I'm saying? And then, we'll be crying if the man hurt himself, because that's a lot. That's a heavy burden to carry. That's a heavy burden to carry. And maybe that's just who I am. I tend to sympathize with, have sympathy with, the underdog, so to speak, and so, but he messed up. He didn't do the right thing. We know that. But that just goes to speak how we use someone's mistake to make ourselves bigger and just keep talking about that mistake this other person made. And, that because we didn't do that particular thing, we hold it over his head. So a lot of times I find that we mess up so frequently because we haven't developed ourselves in God. We haven't developed ourselves with our spirit, with who we are, our direct relation with God. So many think that we're separate. They think that God is here and we're down here. No, 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 no. It doesn't work. It is not like that. Jesus came to show us that. Jesus walked in his authority. He spoke powerful words. He healed. He identified himself in a highly way as the Son of God, as the Son of Man, as the Messiah, as the bridegroom. I mean, he said all these things. He was talking like no one else was talking. That's what made him different, because he knew who he was, and he walked in and he owned it. And he used these parables to help us better understand who we are through him. He lived the example and he took the ridicule. He did. I mean, he was murdered for it, but he took the ridicule, right? And he took on that burden, but he had to display that for the people. So I'm going to go into the forgiveness of the Father. The forgiveness is one of the highest forms of self-love. It really is. The Father set himself free by not holding anything over his son's head. And he welcomed his son with open arms. He showered him with love. He let him know that he was still worthy of love. He let him know no matter what he did, no matter how much he went off track, no matter the fact that he blew his inheritance, no matter the fact that he messed up and now it may take a little time for him to get things back in order in his life, that he was still his son. That is exactly like our Father treats us. That's exactly like our Father treats us. So when we don't forgive ourselves and when we walk around with guilt and shame, those are useless emotions. The guilt and shame is we carry that because we are too busy worried about what somebody else is saying, pointing their finger at us or ridiculing and criticizing you because you messed up, because you may have messed up publicly, because they could see your mess ups. Not everybody's mess ups, screw ups are public. It's behind the scene. So they ain't around there telling their business about what they did to mess up. But because your stuff was public, it was on center stage, they're going to ridicule you. And we are ashamed because of how we are treated by our fellow brothers and sisters when some people act higher than others. So I want to encourage each of you to be mindful of that behavior and don't sit high and look down low. God didn't put you here to judge nobody. And he loves us freely. Why can't we treat one another that way? Why can't we treat one another that way? It's important to do so. Jesus showed us how to treat our brothers and sisters. The only thing he called down was pride, those who had used sin as a power over the people, and he wanted the people to know who they were through God. What we have to do is develop our identity, and our knowing your identity and walking in it is two different things. We have to nurture that thing. We have to spend time with God. We have to tune out what the rest of the world is saying, and what that looks like for you may be confusing to some other people. That's okay. You're not when you in that season where you got to connect, when you got to grow, when you got to develop that spiritual eye, when you got to develop who you are and not be apologetic about it. Why would you be apologetic for how God made you? He made you in his likeness and in his image, right? So why be apologetic about that? Because every now and then we mess up. We all do. We all do. Even Jesus messed up when he went in the desert. He was tricked, right? We don't like to talk about that, but it's the truth. So we all mess up, right? So that forgiveness freed the father, and it freed the youngest son. Because he was forgiven, he was able to heal faster. He was able to forgive himself. And when you heal faster, you back on that road to recovery. You don't walk around in guilt and shame. When people hold your mess over your head, you have to be strong enough to shake it off and identifying who you are, because that keeps you from healing. Those are chains and those are shackles, and that's not from God. That's from what we can't release what someone else is thinking of us. We have to learn to let that go. We have to walk through it and work through it, and know that our Father loves us even through our mistakes and our mess ups. So I want to go on to the oldest son, right? He was bitter. He was jealous. And he was mad that his ridicule didn't have any power over how his brother was treated, right? The elder son wouldn't own his own brother because he thought that his outer works made him better than his brother. He thought because he stayed at home and he worked in the field and he did everything his father wanted him to do, that made him holy. That made him righteous. That made him better than. But there's no such thing in the eyes of God, and that's what I want to keep driving home with you people. Because I had to teach myself that. That's what I want to drive home with everybody. There's no such thing in the eyes of God. We are all his children, and we are all made equal, right? We are all made equal. But we've been taught this thing of sin, and it's been used and it's been used as a power to hold people down. It's been used as a power to hold people down. I'm going to call it what it is. As I grow in my spiritual walk with God, that's what I'm understanding better, right? I'm not saying there's no right and wrong. I'm not saying there's no evil spirits, right? But when it's used as a power over man, where a man can't even heal, or he feel less than, and he forget who he is, it could be a powerful thing, in that perspective. So he also, he bucked at his daddy. The daddy that he was so loyal to, right? He was so loyal to his dad. He worked in the field. He did everything his father wanted him to do. All this outward stuff he thought made him better than. When he saw that his father was going to forgive this eldest son, he was mad. He was fed up. He was just over it. He wasn't going to come to the celebration and all that stuff. So it was almost like a dismiss to his father, like, how you going to treat him with all this love and respect, and he did all this? Why? That's interesting to me. That's interesting to me, because we need to make sure that's not us in this present day. we he wasn't going to bless his brother, and he wasn't glad it was like he wasn't even glad his brother was alive. He wasn't glad his brother was back. And I also want to address the jealousy. It's almost like he was jealous because his brother went off and he did his thing. He lived his life. He messed up. He made his mistake, but he didn't. He he went out there and explored, even in his immaturity, even in not knowing himself. He took a chance. He took a risk. He just went. He didn't. He wasn't held with any restraints. He wanted to see the world and he went. Now you know some of us did that in our early 20s and our 30s, whatever. And some of us have children who've done it. They want to see the world and they gone. They in the wind. As soon as they get the opportunity, as soon as they hit 18, they gone. As soon as they get that good job to support themselves, they in the wind. And we knowing that they green. We knowing that they're green and behind the ears, but why are they green? Because from generation to generation, including starting with ourselves, let's just start with ourselves. We 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 play church, we went to church, but we know Bible verses, we know scriptures, we know all this stuff, but we didn't really develop ourselves with who we are through God. We didn't develop ourselves to understand that Jesus came here to teach us who we are, just as his brother. He was our brother because we have the same father. And God made us in his image, male and female. He made us alike. He made us equal. He loves us all the same. How else could a father just forgive so freely and so equal? Because he doesn't live under that false power. That little power can't touch the power of God. And Jesus didn't even address sin like that. He addressed those who ridiculed and used it as a power. That's who he called out. Yes, yes, I love that part. The eldest son would have been, I just wonder how it would have turned out differently for the younger son if the father would have held ridicule over him, welcome him back home, but you got to sleep out here in this outhouse. You got to sleep in the pen with the you was out there sleeping in the pigs when you was out there in the street. You gonna sleep over here in the barn with the livestock because I can't believe you went out there and did all that and blah 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 blah. Just whooping them. Making him pay for his mistakes and not welcoming him home lovingly. You can come home, but I'm so fed up with you. I can't believe you did that. That elder son would have loved that, and it would have been it would have been he would have built on that. He would have had everyone coming down on him. The father changed the tone by opening his arms lovingly and welcoming his son home. The father showed everyone else how to treat his son. Y'all hear me? The father showed by example. He chose to be forgiving and loving and welcoming and reminding the younger son of his value. You're still my child. He reminded the elder son, even he was still being loving to the elder son, even though that he was ticked off and mad and heated all hollow under the collar. You still my son. You my son too. Everything I have is yours. You my son, he my son, y'all equal. It bothers a lot of people, but we equal. We're equal. Stop trying to hold people's mess over their head. So that's really what I wanted to share because I know a lot of us been delivered from that, right? But it's easy to slip back into that. And even as a parent, this story, it hit home because it hit home. That's all I'm gonna say. It hit home. But I had recognized, I putting forth effort to be loving and to be kind and to be encouraging, even when you think your child could be doing more, they're not, or, making better decisions. How you can really do it. Sometimes when they're of a certain age, you have to encourage. I have teenagers. I have teenagers. I have a senior in high school. And it does no good for me to be badgering either one of my children over their heads at this point in their lives. My job is to, through example and strategically, teach them who they are through Christ and try to help them connect on that spiritual level with God and grow in that, and how to stay in that, and how to return to that when they find themselves getting off the path. And so when you know who you are and you develop that relationship with God, you are kinder to yourself. You treat yourself better. You treat others better. You don't hold grudges. You got to let it go. Not saying you don't get offended. Not saying you don't get hurt. Not saying you don't, get caught off guard. Sometimes we all do. But you don't hold that thing. You don't nurse that thing, right? Because God forgives, God lets it go. He don't keep bringing it up. He don't keep bringing it up. We keep bringing it up because that's the way we've been conditioned, not because that's God's will. So that's why it's so important that we develop ourselves through our relationship with God, and stay in that place, and make it our business to walk in the Spirit. I hope this blessed the people tonight. I really enjoyed sharing this message. It really hit home for me, and I think I'm almost certain that there's somewhere in our lives, our own personal experience, if it wasn't directly with us, we may be able to relate when it comes to one of our children. Even if it's something in the past, we can relate. We can all relate to this story. But I want us to focus and relate to Jesus and the power and the authority that he walked in, because he knew who he was, and he wanted us to know who we were. He didn't want it, and he called out those who used that power to try to hold people down, to sit high and look low. And those same people that he called out, and he didn't, and he called them out on their mess, those were the ones who nailed him to the cross. Isn't that something? So, y'all have a good Friday night, rest of the night. Have a blessed and wonderful weekend. Thank you again, Pastor Kelly, Pastor Ricardo, for trusting me with this space and allowing me to speak to everyone. I'm signing off. Good night. Bye.